Now, domestic commodities markets have been quiet this week owing to the Eid al-Fitr holiday. However, all markets are expected to open tomorrow as the holiday ends today. And so, what do we expect at the commodities market when the market reopens tomorrow? I'm being joined by a research analyst at financial derivatives company, Amaka Ajebu, to look at that issue. Good afternoon, Amaka. Thanks for having you in the studio. Right, what has happened to the domestic commodities market this week?
Yes, I'll just reiterate what you said. So the market has relatively been quiet due to the festive period. So there hasn't been much activity. But by tomorrow, when the markets open, we would see a slowly reinstatement of activities in the market.
Right, now the Ramadan season, or rather the month of Ramadan, is said to be a period when Muslim brothers fast.
Yes.
Okay, so supposedly that should actually be a period when we should see food prices coming down.
Yeah.
But the reverse seemed to be the case. Why?
Yes, because it's believed that when the Muslim brothers break their fast, they tend to eat more than they would normally do when they have a normal diet. Ordinarily. So
perhaps because they have to share.
Share, exactly.
So they have to get more.
Yes, exactly.
Right. June inflation figure would soon be released. And of course, I know that some economies are beginning to come up with their predictions. How do you think that the Ramadan season would affect the inflation
figures? There would be a slight, there will be a slight effect on the inflation rate, but it wouldn't be as significant as everyone would expect, given the fact that consumer resistance has really come into the markets, given the removal of fuel subsidy that happened in May trickling down to June, and also the new forex policy that has come into the economy. So there will be a slight effect on inflation figures, but not
right. Amaka, one major event that this week is the regulatory action on Sky Bank.
Yes.
And that has really triggered some jitter, on the people. Some are saying that, hey, the banks could possibly be distressed. Now, tomorrow, the banks will resume work. What are we expecting to see at the banks? And do you think this would possibly have any effect on the domestic commodities market?
Okay, so it's one thing to note that the banking sector is liquid. It was just a case of solvency issues with the Sky Bank, so they were not able to meet up their long-term obligations. But obviously, the average Nigerian, once you see a slight sign of problem, everyone runs helter-skelter. So we tend to see people, taking out their money and putting it under their beds, for safekeeping, because inflation has already dampened the value of their Naira investments or Naira. So you would see that kind of jitter in the market. And in turn, that tends to fizzle into the commodities markets in the sense that people are not sure about their cash position. So they tend to withhold money, and that will fiddle into the amount of spending that they make. So you tend to see that they reduce the demand for certain commodities, and then that fizzles into a reduction in prices in the commodities markets.
Right. Well, let's just hope that that we don't get to that point. Exactly. Okay, let's look at the oil sector. Yet another major development this week. We saw a new board of directors for NNPC.
Yes.
Now, what does this mean for the domestic oil market?
Yes. So, with the institution of a new board of directors, theoretically speaking, we should see two heads are better than one scenario where you derive more efficiency and transparency, because you have several people in the board who have to veto policy decisions before any action can be made. But at the same time, with bureaucracies come the disadvantage of, delays in implementation of policies and decision making. So the good and the bad would depend on the people who are involved.
who are driving it.
Yes, exactly, and how efficient and competent they are in driving the...
Talking about bureaucracy, of course, when it was just one man, the man can actually take the decision. But right now you have a number of them there. All right. Now, we've seen the prices of diesel, LPG, kerosene go up.
Yes.
What's driving the prices?
Yes, it's basically a supply shift towards PMS, because following the removal of subsidies, there's still profit margins in that product market. So diesel suppliers, kerosene suppliers have shifted their focus to the supply of PMS, and so that is affecting their supply of diesel in that market. So that is what is driving prices up, because there's no available supply in those product areas.
Okay. Let's look at the global oil market. We've seen the prices come down to about $47. What are the drivers?
Okay, so it's just renewed uncertainty in the global financial markets, as well as a slowdown in global demand. So following the Brexit in the United Kingdom, policymakers haven't come out with their agenda for a post-EU United Kingdom. So people are a bit worried about what the direction is going to be following this. So
now, yeah, you argue that global oil demand is declining. Now, what data do you have to back that up?
Yes, so like you said earlier, there is a contraction. There was a contraction in the UK industrial sector. So we also saw this in the month of June in the Chinese manufacturing sector, where the PMI index went down to 50.0, which is a 4-month low. So that is going to tell you, that's showing you that the demand for oil in those sectors, in these countries, are contracting. And also, there are recent studies to show that people are looking for alternative sources of energy. And for example, the electric cars, sales have gone up by 100% in China alone. So people are slightly shifting focus from oil-based.
Now, do you estimate that we could go back to the era of $30 per barrel?
It all depends on the demand and supply in the markets, holding everything constant. Because earlier this year, the Canadian fires and also the Niger Delta shortages, where we presume were temporary glitches in the system. So Iran has gone up to pre-sanction levels of production. So there's enough supply in the market, and demand is slowing down. So there's the possibility that we might actually revert back to those.
Now, how do you estimate the oil prices would actually go in the second half of the year?
Yes, so like I said, it all depends on the demand and supply and how it goes in the second half of the year. We believe, due to better political unification in Libya, for example, that the supply glut will become an issue once more, and demand is contracting. So oil prices are looking bearish in the second half of the year.
All right. Thank you very much, Amaka, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Right. That was Amaka Ajebu, a research analyst from Financial Derivatives Company. Well, in Ghana, the vandalism of oil facilities in Nigeria appears to be taking its toll beyond the shores of the country. As the Ghanaian President John Mahama says, the delay in the delivery of the crude oil ordered from Nigeria has led to power outages there. Now, according to President Mahama, the sabotage of oil terminals in Nigeria occasioned the delay in the supply of oil, which Ghana ordered last month. This latest statement comes a few weeks after the West African Gas Pipeline Company announced the suspension of gas supply from Nigeria to Ghana over unpaid bills by the Ghanaian government. Now, the company alleges the Ghana state power producer, Volta River Authority, owes Nigeria's N-Gas about $180 million, while N-Gas in turn owns the pipeline company $104 million.